Alright, here we go again. Another stream for doing some animation in Unreal, some rigging stuff this time. We have quite a few things planned for this particular stream, mostly just trying to catch up from what was going on before. Paul says hello. Wow, that was so fast. Hello, Paul. Welcome. And today I was sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my stream, and I'm like, what were we talking about last week that we were supposed to be doing? And I forgot completely. I have no idea. We probably had some brilliant ideas and brilliant plans we were going to do, and I just forgot all about it. So what I sat down and I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I was looking at the Fox that we were working on last week. Here, I'll switch it over to the Fox now. Yeah, it's recorded. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. It was. In fact, I was watching the recording, trying to figure out what was going on, but I didn't have time. So there's supposed to be like a little chat window that shows up in your YouTube video, so you can read through the chat. It wasn't working for the previous week, so I was like, geez, I can't just sit here and watch my whole previous stream. I gotta go figure out what I'm gonna do next. So, anyways, I'll leave it to you guys. Keep telling me what it was that we were talking about last week, and help me out, and then I may change the course of the stream as we go if I suddenly remember that I was trying to do something really cool. But what I've got here is the Fox, and we were doing the rigging, and we just got the rigging working just before the end of the stream. But I really rushed it, and some of the stuff like the feet weren't lined up and everything. So I went back to look at that file, and I didn't even save it. So I'm like, jeez. I saved some of it, like the mesh file was cleaned up and all that stuff, but I didn't save the actual positioning of the joints. So I'm going to do a little bit of recap this week from what I was doing last week, which hopefully isn't too boring to watch, but it might be useful. And then also, we're going to do a more careful job this time and see if we can get the joints to be in the right place so that we can actually try to do some animation. I can't really guarantee that the animation is going to be doable today because, you know, when you set up these rigs, lots of bizarre things can go wrong, and I'm not 100% confident that I'm gonna be successful in getting a rig working to a point where I can animate it and get it exported. However, if we can rough something out and make it look like it's a basic pass, that could be considered successful for the sake of, you know, just doing a rough pass, figure out what we're gonna do in our cabin scene, and figure out how we're gonna proceed from there. But nice to see you here too, big glob of goo. It was nice chatting with you was it Tuesday or whatever, so that was cool too. And what are we gonna do first? Oh yeah, so let's go through the review of what we're doing here. Custom, we're gonna use the advanced skeleton system. We kind of went through the process of cleaning up the mesh, making sure that it's zeroed out. I can't even select it right now. Oh, it's on a locked layer. So it's all zeroed out and ready to go. Big Glob of Goose says, yeah, that was good. Looking forward to the next one. Yeah, so we had these open sessions for game development that just started last week. And it's a new thing for CG Spectrum where we are trying to get more students involved in talking about Unreal development, talking about using it, but we're combining a series of different students from different groups. So we've got students from the programming, students from the game design, and students from the game production currently. And we want to make it more for everybody eventually, but one step at a time at the moment. But anyway, I did the first open session for it on Tuesday, and we just had a chance to chat about, I don't know, what's basically open sessions are great because they're, as opposed to a stream, you're actually able to talk about your own stuff, and we're able to critique it or at least give you some help through, I guess more relevantly, we're going to give you some help through getting through some problems. But it will be your own content. So we'll have there's a place where you can upload and you can work on those files, and or as a mentor, I can work on those files and help you through issues or at least give you some advice. And we're hopefully, and we seem to be on track to get multiple mentors from different departments. We got our VFX guy, he's ready to go. We've got game design. I was talking to Scott the other week or earlier this week, and he wants to do he wants to be there to help out students for dealing with this new design Unreal level that we're going to give to the designers, which is something we're just in the middle of working on. So we're really trying to take foothold on making sure that the students, no matter what stream they take, are learning Unreal. And I think that's a really important step for our school. But it does require quite a complicated process, and definitely taking a sidestep to what you traditionally think of what you would do for a school, because we're going to be just throwing Unreal stuff at you, and then we're going to be like, hey, here's a whole bunch of people that can help you. And some people will be into it, some people won't really want to learn it, and it's not a big deal. It's just a secondary, optional content. But we have lots of fun ideas for how we're going to be able to incorporate it into the course, because pretty much everything you do could somehow integrate into Unreal. I mean, if you're doing animation, you're just, well, let's build a scene so you can import your animation and have showcase your animation in Unreal. And then you can learn about how to use Sequencer and sort of get a sense of that and build upon it. If you're modeling, let's do a similar thing where we're showing off your meshes and you're setting up your textures and matching it to what you're doing in Substance Painter. So there's lots of opportunity, but it does require some careful planning. And so we're on 101, stage 1, as you say, and just trying to incorporate the people that are actively working with Unreal at the moment. Wow, yeah, so I didn't even mean to talk about that, so there we go. We had an excellent little blurb right in the very start of my stream here, which is good. I think it's very promising for the school, and I think it's pretty exciting, because it's definitely like we're trying our best to stay on top of this changing times in the industry. So what I have to do for the Fox is bring in the I'm gonna pretty much start from where I was before. Bring in the cat rig, import that in. We're working from the Fox rig file, not the actual Fox mesh file. So this mesh is not actually in my scene. It's referenced in. Better double check that it is. So we got our Fox mesh being referenced in. So from here, I'm going to, basically scale up the mesh, or scale up the rig to match our mesh. And so we know our mesh is the right size for the scene. This music is intense, intensely calm. I don't know what's going on there. It's a little bit like something intense is about to happen. Let's see here. We have, so I have to make sure I switch into fit mode, which is a special mode for modifying your skeleton, where it automatically adjusts the direction of the joint and all that stuff. Oh, and I'm going to work from the root of the skeleton first. So it's not real. This is definitely much more of a animation specific stream potentially, if we go down this road. But there is a lot of interesting concepts for different departments if you're actually interested in trying to set up stuff for your rigs. It's a bit of a different story when you're when you have pre-existing animations and you're trying to retarget. We're really going from a perspective of, we want to basically create the skeleton, and so that we can hand key it and animate it ourselves, which is doing it the hard way, I guess. but a good method. And definitely we're recapping right now from what we were doing last week. Here's our eye joints. Hey, Sean. Welcome. Hello, hello. So if you guys have any thoughts or ideas of what you want to find out about in general with Unreal, even though I'm totally working in Maya right now, feel free to bring it up. I don't have to follow the path that I've talked about doing right now. We can explore other things if you have some cool ideas for what you want to see me do, but like I said before, I started this stream and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I gonna do? It's kind of like that every week, to be honest. This is the index finger. Stu Animation, what is your opinion on dual Quaternion skinning for Unreal? Oh shoot. Dual Quaternion skinning. Okay. It's a tough question. I didn't even know there was such a thing as dual Quaternion. I assume that's like the type of mesh skinning. Okay, let's start from square one here. I didn't know skinning in Unreal was a thing, but maybe you're referring to skinning, setting skinning up in Maya so that when you bring it in using dual Quaternion, to which I might have more of an informed answer for you. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, good. I literally thought you were like, what about dual Quaternion skinning in Unreal? And I'm like, well, I know they have rigging tools, but I didn't realize there were all these skinning options that common knowledge here. So when you're skinning, and there's multiple options for your bind skin, one of them, I guess, is dual Quaternion or something, right? Is that where we're going with this? Oh, geez, I can't find it like I thought I would. There it is, dual Quaternion. I used to remember what dual Quaternion was that differentiated from classic linear, and I remember that there was some sort of consequence with when you putting it into a real-time engine and whether it's compatible, or also possibly it's definitely like maybe one of those more film things. So I forget. I have no answer for you, really. No well-informed answer. But I usually do use geodesic voxel because it's a more interesting method to bind the skinning method, and I usually do a max influences. Well, I think 5 is pretty high, but I think you can go up to 8 nowadays in Unreal. I don't remember what the limit is, but it was so small once upon a time, not that long ago. So somewhere around 4 or 5 influences, and I don't know, I'm sure there's other really important settings here that I've forgotten all about. But I don't really have too much trouble just doing the defaults and letting it work. Flippy Pixel, hello, welcome again. I'd like to see the setup of an animated character in Unreal again. See if you have any updates since the fundamentals class. Yeah. Like, what was it, 3 years ago? 4 years ago? Setup of an animated character in Unreal. Well, I'm actually trying to think of what's changed. And I'm like, I bet you not much has changed. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll find out. Oh, you know what I should open? Instead of the backdrop, we should open up the character set we were doing originally. And we actually did set up a character, like a biped character that had all the different settings. Guess I could open both of them at the same time. I've already opened the other one. Hopefully it doesn't cause everything to crash. Walk, crouch, etc. So what we've got in the other project, which is still opening, is we even have a directional aiming, but we don't have crouch, and we do have walk though. Sean says, will there be another game engine that can rival Unreal in the future? That is an interesting question. Right now, it doesn't really feel like anybody could really compete with where Unreal is at right now. And there are other engines. Oh, look, I'm crashing. This is always fun. Hopefully I'm going to come back before my file finishes loading. There is other engines that have come out that have tried to compete and lost miserably against it. Particularly one I'm thinking of is when Autodesk came out with their Stingray, and that happened just before Unreal announced that they were going to make their engine free. So it really was not, it was bad timing for sure. And their engine is just not anywhere near where Unreal was even at that time, let alone where it is now. Obviously Unity's very much a competitor with Unreal, but I think Unreal and Unity are going in two different directions, and I think they're satisfying two different markets, so I don't think you can really say one will win over the other. Oh, and there's also Amazon Lumberyard, which is very much trying to compete, but much further behind. And there's others too, but a lot of them are proprietary within the studios, so you can't really like use them. Stu Animation, I'm finding they say dual Quaternion is supported, but optimizing seems to not be great. So still classic linear. All thanks for answering. Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I remember too, is it was like dual Quaternion is better, I guess, but it's complicated when you're trying to do it in real time, because this is like stuff that has to calculate on the fly. So anything that's really expensive on that front probably is not, I mean, if you're not getting substantial increase in quality, then it would be recommended to not do it, but I don't know. John says, I didn't even know Stingray existed. That's so true. And it was a very small moment. When I found out Autodesk was coming out with Stingray, I'm like, you're serious? You're really going to try to compete in this market? I'm like, there's no way that's going to work. And then I took a look at it and I downloaded it, installed it. I'm like, yeah, this is so far from what Unreal is. And then sure enough, it just disappeared. I think within maybe a year or something, they took it away, and they took it off the market. So, but they didn't make it from scratch. They bought it from someone else. So they purchased an existing engine, relabeled it as Stingray, and then, you know, did some work to it. But it was like any other Autodesk software. It just didn't have the attention or the passion to compete, and especially in this industry where you got like things are just changing super fast. Big Globagoo says, I agree about Unity versus Unreal. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's the whole argument of they're going in two different directions, satisfying two different markets. John says, God dang, Amazon is everything. Is in everything. Yeah, well, they're not really in with Lumberyard, to be quite honest. I had some experience with Lumberyard, and it was not a very good experience. I mean, it's actually being taken from another engine, which I should remember. The one, it was made in Germany. Darn it. Forget what it's called. Anyway, they used to be a really big competitor, and they were like right there with Unreal, making amazing games. And CryEngine, there you go, thank you. And they were like definitely making some amazing games, and they probably still have a pretty competitive engine, but it was right at that moment where all the engines were like, we're gonna go free, and then CryEngine was like, no, I don't think so. We're still gonna cost millions of dollars. And I think that was where it all split up. And everybody was like, well, I'm just gonna use the free engine. I'm gonna pay millions of dollars. And I kind of lost track of where it went after that. But Amazon purchased a version of that and called it Lumberyard, and then they're using that as their tool to you know, try to establish in the industry as a competitor. But their advantage is the fact that they are hooked up to all the streaming, all the servers, all the, you know, Amazon servers, so they can really benefit cost efficiency with, if they integrate their engine with the online streaming, to be able to deal with like massive online gaming and stuff. And that's their perspective, from what I understand, on how they're going to make that work. But it was not fun trying to get anything to be made in Lumberyard, especially when you compare it to Unreal. I think Studio Animations, I think Lumberyard was made with the framework of CryEngine. Yeah, there you go. So it's supposed to be the same, but the problem is because Lumberyard is separated from CryEngine enough that you can't really rely on the documentation from CryEngine, and the documentation for Lumberyard was so lousy that it just wasn't there. Or if it was just madness to try and follow. And then there was lots of programming required to get anything done. It was just like going back 10 years in the industry for usability, especially from an artist. And yeah, it just wasn't worth it when you could just use Unreal for free and like get stuff done, and it would look awesome. And you would be able to rely on the fact that, you know, in the next quarter you're gonna have this awesome update that gives you some amazing things for free. So it's just, there's no way you can compete. The only way that you would actually realistically want to develop with it is if you're really trying to build something that is utilizing the Amazon servers and trying to do something unique in a bigger studio environment where you're actually working on it. But I don't think you're going to benefit from trying to learn how to use these engines. I think, you know, honestly, show off your skills would be just working with a software that allows you to actually, well, coming from an artist anyway, working with something that's actually been well tested, you know, has lots of documentation online now. A lot easier to get stuff done so that you can actually show off your skill. Oh, that was a lot of talking. Okay, so here we are with our scene that we were working on a long time ago, where we have a cinematic. Well, let's just play it, I guess. It starts with a cinematic, if it still works. I also noticed it took a long time to compile, so I'm not sure what is going on here. Clearly, oh, it isn't necessarily choppy, that just might be, I'm not finished my animation yet. But anyway, so we have walks and runs. We have this aiming, so she points where she's looking. And that was done through a variety of different poses. And we have a laser that doesn't shoot anywhere near where I'm trying to aim. So there was some areas there that needed to be fixed. But it happened, we got animation blending in there and stuff too, so she can be running and shooting at the same time. So we had a bunch of stuff that we were able to cover. Sean asks, will Unreal become more Unreal? I think that was a joke. It's so unreal. That might be the first time anyone ever used that joke. I think definitely we're going to get some awesome stuff coming out of Unreal though. I mean, I don't think we're anywhere near finished for what we're going to be able to find out with what it does. Oh yes, Flippy Pixel. Yes, thanks. I mean, I'm glad to see that you were able to see that. I can definitely show you how we did the directional aim, because I know we didn't talk about that in the course. It was pretty easy, to be quite fair. Most of it was just about making the poses. So we have a whole series of, this isn't the right file. We have gun aim down, aim left, down left. So just still poses. I'm only really worrying about the joints and the body parts that actually have the, that I'm gonna animation blend to it. So it was the neck up and the right arm, obviously. And then that goes into a special type of node called a aim offset node, which is kind of like a blend space, but especially for aim offsets. And then in here, you can just put the different poses together and test them out. And it's the same concept where you have a yaw and a pitch values, and you can assign those values inside of the animation blueprint. There's a little bit of a interpolation on here, which maybe not what a game designer wants, but I think it makes it look a little more natural. So then inside of the animation blueprint, we're calling it in the anim graph. We're doing some fancy stuff that I can't remember how we did it, because that's usually how it works. I don't ever remember anything. That's your blend space for idle. Goes into a cache pose. Idle run cache pose gets used here because we're going to use it again here. So I split it up so I can use it twice. This is the gun hold animation idle, which I'm not even sure. Oh, that's for the hand. And then this is the this is the default group using I think it's the blend space for, let's see here, is equipped, true or false, allows you to play the, yeah, there it is, the aim offset blend space now. So we're utilizing the blend space. We've got the pitch and the yaw coming from the aim offsets. Must be pulling that from somewhere in the event graph. Offsets. Where is it here? It's gonna be here somewhere, I swear. Aim offsets. Okay, so we're setting values with delta rotator. This is a 3-value rotator, so I'm getting the rotation of the camera direction, I guess. Actor rotation, controller rotation. For some reason I'm merging them together. I don't really know why I'd be merging them together. Maybe that's why my aim isn't right. I don't know. And we're only using the pitch and the yaw from it to assign the position of what the AO is supposed to be, and then the equipped basically is turning it on or off. So if I'm not firing, which is something I think you'll be familiar with in terms of how that worked with, you know, we had a gunfire animation in our course, but it was just coming off of your hips. But you can see here, when I trigger it, she aims, and then after a delay, she goes back to her idle, which is just part of the run. So it shows up for a little while and then goes back. Yeah. Oh, and then there was a bit of a tricky moment here where we had to get the gun to be in the right position. Because of the way that the character was rigged. I didn't rig this character. This was brought in from a Figgins model. That was a rig that's available on the internet for free. And so they did it so that the gun was its own hierarchy that just sits on the ground. And so I had to I have to position the gun to the location of the hand every single tick. And so that's what that's doing. It's just positioning it right where the hand is. Seems a little bit weird, but it worked. And I think if I can find the skeletal mesh, you'll see the gun on the ground down here, which is where the actual joint for the gun is, just sitting at the origin. And this one I've actually attached to a socket with the hand, which I think is what we're using to say where to put the hand, where to put the gun is where the socket is, which is another thing we talked about in the course as well, using sockets to give us extra positional joints or whatever, these little guys. All right, run out of stuff to talk about. Let's go back to Maya and wait for another question. Grabbing the tail joints. So we're going to put this into the cabin file. That's the goal. And I'm thinking, because I wasn't really all that super happy with the position of where I was putting all this stuff, I may change the camera out completely. So maybe we're either looking right next to a window or maybe outside looking in or something like that. Hey, Rushback, you're back. Rushback is back. I'm doing good. How are you doing? Flippy Pixel says, I've been using iClone. Oh, iClone. Yeah, characters, creators. I have learned about it, and I have not used it. It does seem pretty interesting as a quick and useful alternative. I'm always surprised, like, it has so much functionality, and it seems so useful, and yet I very rarely hear anybody talk about it and use it, so I'm not sure what the hang-up is. And I'm not sure if I'm just not hearing communication, maybe, of what's actually happening. Rushback says, doing good, just got out of a Q&A session. A good Q&A session, too. It's good. Glad to hear that. We're hitting... we're just working well with your Q&A schedule, apparently. So there's multiple softwares, right? So there's animation ones, character rigging ones, camera ones, 3D pipelines. This looks like motion capture ones. And yeah, like I've just never used any of it. Maybe it's because you have to pay for it to use it. I just never really got very deep into trying to figure it out. But I really can't tell you if it's good or not. I guess that's a question for you then, Flippy Pixel. What do you think of it? How do you find that compared to the other pipelines that you learned about with Maya and stuff? Can I send a link? You can only send a link if you can disguise it as not a link. You are welcome to send links if you can get away with sending a link. For some reason, they have it so that you can't send links, which is probably for the best. But basically, if you send it without all the HTTP stuff, I could probably just figure it out. Or you could send it to me through Slack. That's cool too. Just gotta let me know. Flip Pixel likes the character creator as it does auto rigging. Oh, it does it? Okay. I mean, why not, right? Of course, it should do auto rigging. Why does Maya not have a better auto rigging software? They have auto rigging from HIK, but it's just then you end up having to work with an HIK rig, which is not particularly good. That's from YouTube? Okay, so let's put this together here. All right, I think that worked. Except for the audio was super loud for me, so let me turn that down. Base character for morphs. Morph sliders. This one's using Marvelous Designer. Wow. Did I get the right video link, by the way? Use base character and morph sliders. Is that running that in real time? Like, are those, or is that cached out Marvelous Designer? Guess maybe that's not part of the whole point of what the video is about. Oh, maybe it is. Marvelous does UVs and game exports now. Wow, okay. Game exports. What does that mean? Does that mean it's actually like able to handle it real time then? Like, how does it make a game export? Bot physics. like cloth physics as like I'm having a lot of trouble figuring this out because it's like technically the engine has to figure out the cloth physics if you're going to export it, which it does. And if Marvelous is working with that software to figure it out, or is there a whole like Marvelous plugin that you work with in the engine? Well, see, that's all cached out there. It's got the animation part of it. That's basically the only way that I know how to do cloth from Marvelous at the moment, is that you basically you import the animation into Marvelous, then you simulate it all, bake it out as like a point cloud cache or whatever they call it, and then you export that cache into your Maya file or wherever you're going to bring it, and just play it at the same time as your animation so that it looks like they're playing together, which is like kind of limited in terms of your flexibility, but it does the job. And it's a bit expensive if you can like figure out how to, you know, well, I mean, if it's a cinematic, then who cares? But if it's like it's a real-time thing, then it's actually better to try to do it with trying to get the real-time physics to work, because then you can let the animation be whatever it is. Or at least that's the theory, until you actually try to practice it, and you're like, ooh, everything's blowing up whenever my character swings a sword. So then you gotta put like tons of restrictions on it so that you can keep it under control. Import animation, export clothing. Yeah, okay, there you go. I haven't had a lot of experience doing clothing, but I definitely was attempting to solve some of the issues when I was at Rocksteady, and we had different ideas and theories, but I don't know. Nowadays, all that stuff is like totally different, so it's hard to. You really gotta. If I was gonna approach it again, I would really be like, okay, what is possible? Where should I start? And really look at it from like a new perspective, because you know, Unreal has their own integrated cloth simulation stuff, and if you're just doing small amounts of fabric like what was in that video, I think you could totally get away with getting some of that to work. You know, subtle secondary motion. I think probably getting the legs to bend and move and having the fabric stretch and squash, that might be tricky, because that does require like not only physics, but also it needs to fold and move in a way that matches its material. So that's probably not nearly as simple as I'm making it out to be. That jean fabric was folding in a very specific way. All right, let's see what we got here. We got ourselves a really basic rig. I'm trying to keep the legs straight, I guess, but they're definitely in the feet this time. I'm gonna try and go to the next stage. FlipPixel says, I'm using iClone with Connect. Oh man, Connect. That's hilarious. I used to use Connect just for fun. For mocap. And the character creator with ZBrush. Okay. ZBrush, I'm like, what? I don't even know. And then Marvelous. Wow. Animation is still better in Maya. All to Unreal. Compared to Unreal in the end. Does the animation look better, or you mean animating? I assume that the animation looks better. Animation is still better in Maya, all to Unreal in, and etc. Like, that's not really a very clear sentence. But I assume you're trying to say it's better in Maya than Unreal. Alright, what do we gotta do here? Build advanced skeleton. That's all I have to do. Make the I could have made the joints bigger the whole time. What was I doing? Pole vectors, display the geometry, snap. Let's just go for it. Oh, maybe I should save it first. Oh, it's read only. I gotta unlock it. Got them all submitted in my Perforce now. Animating Maya, all exported to use in Unreal. Exported to use Unreal. English. So is this all body animation, or are you trying to do facial stuff or anything, or what's like what kind of character is it? Like how I've killed 45 minutes and I haven't even actually got my rig finished. So, man, oh man. I guess what I should do is just try to export the skeletal mesh right away into Unreal and see if we can get that to look okay and work okay before I get into my animation. I don't want to make the mistake of like spending all this time animating and then go, oh, forgot to do something. So a couple things I got to do. Let me just carefully submit this so I always have something to get back to here. Big glob of goo says, okay, I'm back. Had to take a call. Can you repeat everything you did over the last 15 minutes? That'll work out great. And I'll kill an hour. I've only got an hour to kill. That's great. Sorry. I think everybody would just leave if I did that. Be like, no, don't do that. All right. So there is, here it is, game engine, scale behavior, oriented, local space, oriented game skeleton, transfer skinning. Okay, so that's part of the thing I gotta do is get that skinning on there, and then that skinning has to be done to the game skeleton version. That's the important part. So deform, geometry, create, skeleton. Geometry, skeleton, create it? Motion system, create human IK. Oh, human IK. Okay, I didn't know they could do that. Full curves, control mesh. That's weird. I thought there was a section in here for like skinning. It's like skinned. Oh, I guess this is skinning. It says right there. From your character, select the geometry, select the form joints. Okay, yeah, so it's a good idea to do this because I need to make sure I don't pick the IKFK. I only want to pick the ones that are supposed to be skinned to the geometry. Flippy Pixel says, iClone character has face rig, also with plugin to record your own face on iPhone. Oh yes, that that iPhone app. That is very cool. I think the face rig was what really got me looking at iClone in the first place, actually, now that I think about it. Because it's hard to find a good face rig anymore. Tool. Do animation. Each deformation part is... Oh, it's for skinning. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I realize that now. Thanks for the thanks for that one though. That actually was an important answer to a question. Flip Pixel says everything needs that hand-touched cleanup though. Yeah, exactly. You can't have a magic button that does everything. Especially if you just throw in any generic character. Although I must admit, Mixamo did try to make it so that you can just import and it gives you back fixed characters, but I've never really used it very much to know if it does a great job or not. But no matter what, you always want to get in there and be able to know how to tweak it and play with it so that you can get that best quality you can, especially when you're talking about facial animation. Critical. Like, you just one little mess up and everything looks uncanny and weird. Stew animation, each deformation part is deformation. Oh, here we go. More answers. Each deformation part is deformation 2 is the one with the skin cage. Oh, okay. Oh, neat. Skin cage. Wow. Makes you a skin cage. I don't think my geometry really needs a skin cage, but maybe it does actually. It's got 3 layers after all. Wow, the skin cage is automatically skin weighted to the joints, and the weights of the skin cage can be copied to your geometry. The skin curves are profile curves for the skin cage. Can be you can edit the scale, make it better fit the cage. Not bad. Maybe we should try it. When editing the skin curves, match the cage to your character. It is best to start with the green curves, skin curves, since the red curves, skin curves 2, are automatically staying between the green curves. Okay. Alright, let's see what happens. How does it know where the skin is, though? Just gonna, like, guess, and then I just match it, I guess. Forgot a comma. Right. I think I figured it out. Stu Animation says, yes, it copies weights over to the final mesh. Yeah, so that makes sense. Copy weights. Alright, I'm gonna click create. Oh, there we go. It's magic. But then it disappeared. Oh, these are the curves. There they are. Do I have to modify it by using... Can I just scale it? Edit the scale and shape. Also, is it going to mirror it? Mirror, left to right. Pretty cool. Flip Pixel, definitely interested in this rigging tool for quadrupeds. Yeah, I feel like we're on the right track for solving quadruped issues. This is pretty cool with the cage thing. Oh my goodness. What did I sign up to? I don't really need all those. Well, I kind of want some of them, but I don't know what I'm asking for here. And I'll just leave it. Oh, interesting. This is going to be also a very... I think I'm going to play with it in order to figure out what exactly I'm wanting here. Like, for example, did I even put it anywhere near in the right place for what I need to do for deformation here? Kind of confusing when I got both rigs in here. it's pretty cool. I mean, if this works, I'll be really happy. Hopefully it doesn't take me 3 hours to do this, though. For the sake of everyone's interest levels. It's like, alright, I got it done. Alright, well, the whole stream is over now. I really don't know if I'm getting this correct, though. I don't even know what that head joint is for. Olympic says, break everything. Best way to learn. Yeah, it's definitely, it's almost unavoidable. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna break it, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe I don't want to do that one. Oh well, whatever. Hey, Sarah's here. Miss Led Zeppi. I for some reason calling Sarah Sarah, even though not her name. In the I should be calling Chris instead of Flippy Pixel. How are you doing, by the way? Oh, I'm doing good. I'm finding myself very busy, which is great here on the stream. I was a little bit worried about what I was gonna do, and now I've get myself lots of jobs here to do here. So, the Pixel says all good, and Miss Led Zeppi says it's fine. So we have can call you guys Chris and Sarah if I wanted to. Alright, I think that's good enough. Oh, look how high those feet are. I definitely didn't put that foot in the right spot. I'm gonna mirror it from, oh geez, let's make sure I don't screw this up. I'm submitting one stage after what I'm saving to. Not exactly logical from the perspective of people watching here. Alright, let me save this now. And then I'm going to mirror it from, let's say it's the left to the right. Yeah, looks good. Nice. Sarah says, have you downloaded 4.26 yet? Best version ever. I have not. I'm hesitating to work in a preview version because we're still in 4.26 preview 7. Because I'm not really in need of the water yet, so I don't really want to rush and install this version and then experience it in a slightly potentially not finished version yet. So I'm just waiting for it to really properly release, and then I'll try out the different new features. But I hear that you are very happy with the water, and that it worked out really well, which is great to hear, because I'm looking forward to trying it out when we get to that stage. Okay, I'm going to leave that there, and then we'll do... It says the water and stuff is amazing. I couldn't wait after seeing some tutorials. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny how I get students asking me how to do water. Like, last week, I had students asking me how to do water, and I'm like, if you just wait a little longer, it'll be way easier. But I guess I could tell them to install the experience water. Very wow. Says Sean. Especially since water is a big feature in your game. Yes, it is a big feature in your game, and it couldn't be more convenient that it came out when it did. Although I don't think there was ever a time where it was inconvenient. So, seems fair. Alright, so we're going to copy the weights onto this mesh and see what happens. I didn't really get very good instructions there for what you want me to do, because you don't even know what my mesh is. So how is it that you want to know? Let's go back out of here. Oh geez, look, I've made some mistakes. Alright, can I just somehow select? Oh my goodness, what are these? Deformation width? Whoa, you're also referring to where the bend ratios are. My goodness. It's going hardcore here. Groin locators. Not sure if I need to worry about that. Ah, I guess I do actually. Why not? Oh no, I clicked on it. I meant to go to the question mark. Placing the groin locators, run this to adjust. Whoa. It's changing the geometry? Man, I don't know if I've gotten myself into some complicated stuff here. Wow, okay, there's a whole bunch of messages here and I have to catch up. Ah, Sarah says I can help them with the water. Yes, you're right. I will pass them over to you. It's a good idea. I should, yeah. It's just Paul. He's looking for how to do water. So FlipPixel says, so can we make this mountable after mountable fox? That would be hilarious. You'd have to have somebody small. Not sure what we're gonna find. Small character. I haven't looked into the water yet, I assume is what you're saying, FlipPixel. One says, that water better hydrate me when I'm using it. Okay, and then FlipPixel says, ship it. Sarah says, 4 assignments 2 weeks ago till the end of the trimester. Woohoo. 4 assignments, 2 weeks to go. Right. Because you've got multiple classes in callouts there. No worries. Connect me up on Slack. That's right. I need to not forget to do this though. This is the problem. So I'm just gonna throw the name at you and then hopefully that'll remind me. Okay, so I'm just going to, oh, here it is. Select objects to deform. Okay, so I want to select my mesh. Oh, I don't have mesh selection on. That's probably why I couldn't pick anything. There's my fox mesh, and then I just do copy weights, Okay, and what does that do? Oh, it works. Just like that. Magic. It's not really magic. Not really working that good. I think it kind of was in some ways, but yeah, I think this is where I gotta go and start determining things. So let's see what happens here. What did that just do? It changed stuff. Wow, I got some serious learning to do. Oh, I see what's going on here. We're talking about the low poly thing. So I really wish I could like turn off some of these objects options here so I could see what is happening. Like the groin locator. Oh, skin cage, here it is. Skin curves. And there's our red skin curves. Okay. I'm getting this figured out now. The deformation that happens right on the chest right here is always such a pain in the butt. It never is easy. Every dog rig I've ever worked on, that is like a terrible place to be. It's just really hard not to make it look like you just need lots of geo and stuff. And I don't think we have a lot to work with, so there's going to be some type of shearing. But yeah, I don't know. Right now, what we're getting is not as good as I think if we just did a geodesic voxel skin, which is mostly just the fault of me not doing it properly. But I'm just not really sure where I went wrong on that one. Somewhere on this part, I probably made these guys too wide. That kind of thing. I can just make these modifications though, and it still works. It would be really cool. Oh man, what's this one doing here? Well, anyway, I'm definitely feeling like this is a very interesting path for determining where you're, especially when you're dealing with complicated parts. I feel like having a volume that you're manipulating is probably easier than trying to do your skin weights from scratch kind of thing, which is, you know, your alternative to go in there and really work on the skin weights like crazy. Which I'm sure there's going to be some more skin weighting process here too, but all right, let's do the copy weights again. And see what we got here. Turn off the cage. We're still getting some pretty rough pieces right there. So I'm not sure whether this maybe was way too huge. Pull it back. Try not to spend too much time doing this, because it's probably just at this point going to get into, oh yeah, that actually did work. Going to get into me just making dumb mistakes. Nobody's really benefiting. It's like, don't do that. That's really dumb. Don't do that. Oh, sorry. All right, so that's better. And the great thing about, like, when you're doing a pipeline where you're you don't have to have your skinning finished. You don't have to have your a mesh skinning completed in order to start your animation. Like, you can do that afterwards. It's part of the, it can be, you know, done synchronously. Wow, that's not the right word. Almost the right word. But anyway, you can do it at parallel. You can do it at different times. You can have your skinning finished after you've even finished all your animation, as long as you can see what you're doing when you're animating. And that's it's kind of an important thing to realize when you're doing rigging, especially, is that you know, your priority is mostly about making sure the controller's in the right place and the joints are rotating and moving. But when it comes to like subtle skinning issues, kind of like what we were just seeing there, it doesn't have to be done right away. Copy skin weights. I like that workflow though. This definitely is pretty cool. Now we're catching more of the belly, which is normal. So normally I'd be like, okay, time to go in there and change the skin weights, but I think if you can figure out a good distance for all this stuff, then you would be able to probably get this done a lot faster, so you're not constantly making the same mistakes I'm making. I'm not sure if you can just go in there and modify the skin weights as well. Yeah, after some tweaking. It says Flippy Pixel. I never really checked out the eyes here. Sarah says I'll have to watch the first half of this later. Yeah, we're basically kind of recapping what happened last week, but we're going a little deeper this time. I wonder, let me just save it first. I wonder if I can go back to fit mode, make some more modifications. Don't really care if the eye isn't right now. It's one of those perfect examples of something that doesn't have to be done right away, because it's at the end of the hierarchy. You can, in theory, do all the eye stuff later. It's not letting me do fit mode. Oh, maybe it is. I don't even know if that eyeball has an eyeball. I think it's just an illusion of an eye. I don't think there's actually any mesh in there. Geez, I don't have a mirror from left to right options, so that's not good. Have to rebuild the skeleton. Yeah, I guess they were all skinned. Makes sense. Alright, never mind. Unless I break the skinning. Okay, we'll keep going, and I'll come back to that. See if we can get to a point where we're actually getting an export for Unreal. Sarah says, one of my holiday goals is to be more confident with rigging. I think it's one of those things I just keep putting off, but I know it's time to learn it properly. Yeah, well, I mean, if there's anything that you can get from this video, I think that it might help give you some confidence to give it a go. I know this is a good tool set. I just don't spend a lot of time rigging anymore, so I haven't really done any rigging with it before, seriously, so it's a big learning curve on my end right now. It was only just a little while ago that they even supported game engine stuff, so for the most part it was like not even a thing that I could use if I wanted to, but as of recently it's been available, and then I just haven't had a chance to ever rig with it since. Okay, motion system, motion control. I'm really tempted to just turn this on now. So I got the skinning still working. Kind of screwed up the eye a little bit there because I didn't bother to... I moved it and it wasn't part of the proper skinning, so they weren't actually weighted to anything anyways. Alright, we're going to enable game engine behavior. I didn't even find out what that means. By default, when an object changes scale, all the children of the object will inherit the scaling, but Maya has a way for joints to change scale without children of the joint inheriting the scale. This is called segment scale compensate. Useful, for example, when you're scaling up an arm without making the arm huge. However, game engines don't have this option, so exporting animation without scaling will produce incorrect results in the game engine. If you will be using your rig to export game engine, then click Enable Game Engine Scaling Behavior. Note this mode does not work well with non-uniform scaling. Okay. Sean, agreed, rigging isn't bad, but it can be tedious. Yes, that is so true. Flippy Pixel Unreal Joints. Am I in the wrong section? Oh, down here, yeah. Ah yes, create Unreal Joints. Custom oriented game skeleton. Is that the same thing? Or should I just do this one? Unreal root behavior. Oh, I guess I should read the little question marks. Skeleton will follow the main controller. Ah, yes. That keeps it out of the hierarchy. Alright, let me do the create joints first. Creates a custom-oriented game skeleton, where the orientation of the joints can be customized to your game engine requirements. You have a whole hierarchy just of joints, and they're not even the joints of the rig, from what I understand. It's just front axis is X. Actually, the front axis is Z right now. It should be X, but it's not. I don't even know if that matters. I may have just screwed it up. Let's just try it anyways. Create. There's our game skeleton. We got hips and tails and everything. It's all in with a nice root node that actually probably would work out nicely. Sarah says, what would be the job title of someone who makes a game entirely by themselves? Game director. Game designer, game maker. Pretty sure director I mean, you can be a game design director, studio director, something like that, I guess. CEO. Studio head. Oh, independent developer. Yeah, that sounds more like a realistic answer. Not as cool though. You don't get the shock value with independent developer. Are you an indie developer? Well then, let me hire you. And it's, I don't know. You can just get really creative with career titles. Many hats. Yeah. That's very true. CEO does sound cooler. Sean says, I make game title. I make game. Yeah. Well, at least you're going right to the point on that one. Can't deny it. I don't know, if you look at people's LinkedIns and you see the title description they give themselves, like you can really see that some people explore territories, which is unexpected territories. You can give yourself like very professional sounding titles, even though it's like a mundane position. Which I don't have anything against it. It is kind of interesting to see the creativity that can be involved with trying to label your position. Because I mean, who's to make a rule about it anyways, right? It's just a title. Of course, if it's inaccurate, then I suppose that would be misleading. Game creator. Yeah. Game creator works too. Definitely doesn't sound as cool as studio head, director, CEO guy. Me dev all the things. Yeah. It goes back to the many hats position. I own all hats. I'm a hat collector. That's my title. Sarah says, at the moment I call myself multi-dimensional digital artist. There you go. Multi-dimensional. I'm exploring the next dimension. Oh, we have Long Quang. Hopefully I said that right. I'll just say Long, then I don't have to risk myself saying incorrectly. Hey Simon, how do you foresee the game industry versus animation industry in 10 years? Can the job opportunity be blooming for animators? I think the answer is yes, but it's not going to be the same as I think what we currently do, or what we currently teach even. I think there's going to be a big shakeup that's happening pretty within the next 10 years. But that's true for every industry and everybody and everything. So next 10 years, we're all going to see some sort of drastic change in how we traditionally look at a job. But I can talk a little bit more about that too. It's actually quite interesting where animation is going, especially with the whole like the concept of Unreal 5 dealing with unlimited amount of polygons, which puts a big strain on how are you going to rig and animate a really high poly character, which makes you wonder if they're going to try and make it so that your rigging tools are inside of the engine, which means you have to animate inside the engine. Something I keep saying every stream, but I really don't know if that's true. I'm just like, that could very well be where we go to deal with that pipeline issue. And when you're rigging in Unreal, from what I experienced, it's a way different system than what we're doing in Maya, and it could very well change the perspective of how you animate a rig. I don't know. It's interesting anyways. Sean says, the vocabulary gymnastics that some of the LinkedIn profiles have is like Rubik's Cube with the wrong colors. Rubik's Cube with the wrong colors. That's an interesting analogy. Doesn't actually sound like it's a good thing, to be honest. PlayStation Gaming. This doesn't... Okay, for the end credits, list every position that just put your name text to them all. 2 minutes of credits of just your name. What? What does that mean? I don't know if that's a question or a spam comment. I can't tell. Sarah says 2D and 3D is multiple dimensions. Then if you add audio and other stuff. So you could be like 6D and 7D? 7D. Flippy Pixel says everyone has to buy a 3090. Oh, is this the video card? Yeah, oh, I see. To deal with, we're talking about Unreal 5. To deal with the crazy... Actually, I think the bottleneck is going to be in the hard drive. Not so much the video card. Because they've got this... this is just me talking. I really don't know what I'm talking about. But like, the idea is that they have a cool algorithm that allows you to just load what you need to see and nothing more. So you can just see, you know, it's the consistency of polygons available visually on your screen. If you're up close, it'll show you more polygons. If it's far away, it'll only show you less polygons, but it'll always be constant. And that's the cool algorithm that's happening. But the trick is you need to be constantly talking to your hard drive and saying, okay, what do we need now? What do we need now? So there's always data being pulled off your hard drive to fill in the void of whether you need more polygons or less polygons and what the meshes are actually shaped like. And so it's the transfer speed of your hard drive to the computer, to the GPU and the CPU is really the new innovative path that the new PlayStation has that will allow it to do some cool things that we haven't seen before. Sarah says, I have to get some lunch before my class. Thanks for the stream. I will watch the rest later. All right, sounds good. Nice. Thanks for saying hi and chatting with us. Appreciate it, Sarah. And enjoy your lunch. John says, I don't know, man. In the next 10 years, there'll probably be a walking AI talking to me, telling me my poses are wrong. Yeah, I mean, AI is definitely a thing that's going to happen in all directions, you know, for animators as well. It won't be that long in the future before you'll see AI being able to process animations for us. But storytelling and acting and performing is still, I think, a talent that is a human-made. Anything that requires creativity is always requires humans, because we know how to communicate to humans because we are humans and we know what we need and what we want. I think that's always going to be there, but I think the manual labor of using tools to get the creativity out there is going to get easier. But I think that's where it's really going to go. Is just, it's not going to be so much about how to use the tools. It's going to be about how do you entertain, how do you provide services for people, and how do you think creatively. So I don't know. I also think not everybody will be employed, so we have to deal with the fact that some people just won't have jobs. That's okay. But then we have to also make sure that they don't have to live under the bridge because they don't have a job, because that's not okay. FlipPixel says, we know how to make happy accidents. Yeah, that's right. We are excellent with flaws. If you need some some really unpredictable flaws, you can rely on humans to provide that constantly. That's actually a really interesting point. Alright, what was I doing here? I was trying to create the skeleton. Oh, I need to... What is this? Connecting? I gotta read about this. Adjust any joint orientations. First disconnect and then make any adjustments and then reconnect. Oh, okay. I don't know, the skeleton seemed to have arrived in the right place, which is what I was hoping it would do. It looks pretty good. I still have to transfer the skinning though. There's the button. Transfer skinning. Now when I move this, it should move the... Oh no! I think I have to select the object to transfer it. Transfer skinning to deformation joints to the game skeleton joints. Why didn't it just do that for me? It seemed to have disconnected it, that's for sure. Gotta go back and figure that out. What else we got here? Oh yeah, it was just a laugh. What have I done wrong here? So should I go back and reconnect it, or should I just manually... but all that skinning that we did. We did this nice job of skinning, and then we blew it. Alright, let's do the copy weights again. So select the geometry, copy weights, go to bind pose and proceed. See if it's back on again. Oh no! I don't think it got yellow down there. I don't think it actually worked. I think I really screwed it up with this eye movement thing. One more time. Yeah. Sean says, agreed, the human element will always be there, but slowly some of our jobs will be phased out by AI. Unless we go full cyberpunk and send our consciousness to the internet. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, obviously nobody knows what that means, but I'm not sure what will happen if we do that. We'll keep it. Well, are we productive if we put our consciousness to the internet? It's like, what exactly do we do when we're on the internet? Go to bind pose. Fail. Unable to determine the shape of the transform. Darn it, I really screwed it up. Well, it's trying to calculate something now. Let's see what that does. Blue Pixel says, by the way, I noticed on Twitch, everything you read is related to something 15 seconds ago. You noticed this on Twitch. Everything you read is related to something 15 seconds ago. Is this specifically just Twitch? Or is this a phenomenon that the internet in general holds? Like, oh, you're just, I was still thinking about AI. I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? Is this like, what is it, like nine ways to Kevin Bacon or something where you can connect everybody? But we're talking about things on the internet. Yeah, there must be some serious lag, I guess. Sorry if that's happening. I don't have a choice. At least it's working. I haven't crashed. Well, I did go through a bit of a crash, so maybe there is a bit of a lag. 15 seconds. Wow, that's a big lag. We fly in the internet like Wreck-It Ralph, says John. I guess. But don't know, to be honest. Wreck-It Ralph is the prediction of the future. We can look to that to discover how to deal with our problems. Alright, is our skin cage still here? It should be. Let's copy weights. Still doesn't work. Oh, I didn't select anything. Select the mesh. Copy weights. No object matches skin cluster cage matrix. Oh man, I've really gone down a bad path here. I was doing so well. Alright, I'm gonna go down a desperate path here. I'm gonna grab the we're just gonna grab the skin and do a geodesic voxel skin because I've done something weird. 9 ways to Kevin Bacon. I think that shows my age just by bringing that up. Don't forget to save. Thanks, Matt. Actually, I did save it prior, so you know, it's not a bad idea. I could actually just open up the previous version and we'll just, except for I'm gonna lose my cage stuff. It's all because I rotated the eyeball. Screwed it all up. Should have just left it the same. Which I kind of thought I'd be able to fix by doing the thing. Maybe it did, I don't know. But now I can't. I almost have to like rebuild the cage. Oh, I guess maybe I could. No, it's gonna reset it. Alright. I don't know if this is the best idea. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I just set the cage. I'm gonna create the cage, just let it be default, and I'll copy the weights and just see what happens. Maybe just letting it be default might actually, it's not gonna work. There's no way this is gonna work. I'm gonna get this crazy deformation going on. But we'll do it anyways. Copy weights. We get deformation. Still, yeah, see, it's the whole chest thing is coming in there. Okay, I'm gonna open the scene and see where we saved it. Blue Pixel says, see replies come in around 15 seconds later. I don't know if I noticed it on most streams, but I am in Australia. If you actually refresh your browser, it might actually come in quicker. Because I did go through a struggle point when I was opening up this scene where things got laggy, and I have noticed that it will cause delays. And the stream will keep going on like as if it was normal, but it will be just slightly delayed. Okay, so I got I'm back to where I was before. I reopened the file. We still got the skin cage based on my deformation. Yay for me for saving it. And we got copy weights. We're gonna jump straight down here to creating the enabling the game engine scaling. And then we're gonna create, make sure we're going down the Z. It is already. Create the game skeleton, which should show up here. And we're gonna do, what does this mean? Just orients, first disconnect. All right, we don't want to disconnect anything. Hopefully it's already connected. So we have skinning here, it's not connected. Okay, so let's connect. There we go. Now the skeleton's moving around with it. And then we transfer skinning. Hey, if that worked, that means it worked. I know it looks exactly the same, but hopefully it means that the skinning is now attached to our new game skeleton here, as opposed to with the advanced skeleton skinning. And now we need to create joint behavior for Unreal, which might change the hierarchy. I don't know. It doesn't look like it changed anything. Skinning still works. Unreal root and joint IKs. Oh, it creates all these IK controllers. I don't think I need to do that. You actually see those controllers in the Mannequin, but I'm just gonna leave it. Twist joints? No, I'm not gonna do twist joints. The reason why I'm saying no so confidently is that there's a rigging tool set in Unreal, and I was trying to use it on the other skeleton, and it was like my twist joints were breaking the whole flow because they don't have support for it. And realistically, I'm not at a level right now where I'm all worried about my twist joints. I've got enough problems as it is, so I don't need all these extra joints. So I'll just keep it simple. Plus, I don't really know how far I'm going to be able to make this anyways. And if it's being created dynamically in post, then you can add the twist joints later and it won't matter. Unreal Mannequin skeleton. Wow, okay, jeez. It just makes the whole skeleton for you. I don't want to do that. I already got the skinning transferred. Why would I want to do that again? Transfer skinning from deformation system joints to the Unreal Mannequin skeleton. Oh, that's part of that other section, I guess. Alright, I don't want to do that. I've already done my transfer skinning. We're good to go, I think. So, I should be able to make my skeletal mesh now. And that involves grabbing your skeleton and your mesh, your geo, and you go File, Export, Selected. You could use the game exporter if you wanted to. I'm not going to bother though. Export selection. And we're going to go to Project, Backdrop, Source, Box, Skeleton, Box. That was my export from Unreal to Maya, which just gave me the skeleton. Now I have a rig, but I'm using a different skeleton, so I'm going to call this skeletal mesh. Export. No smoothing groups, no animation. Just leave it empty. Okay, and skin definition. Okay, I'm not going to put it in this project. Put it in this one. And we're not in this map. We're in the cabin map. This is where things might crash. Okay, good. We're all good. We're in the cabin, yay. So now we're gonna have two foxes, because I'm basically gonna do a whole new fox. The big business says, here we go. Yeah. We'll see. So I'm gonna make a new fox. I don't know where I should put it. We have our original fox was in the animal variety pack. Maybe we'll put it inside the log cabin. We'll call it fox. And I'm gonna import the oops, where am I going here? Oh, I think I gotta do it manually. Backdrops, source, fox, fox export, open. It's going to import and create a new skeletal mesh and import the geometry. Going to create a new skeleton. Textures are probably not going to work, but that's okay. I'll just reuse them from the other character. Mesh. Okay. Alright, so we have a mesh and we have a skeleton. And there's our skeleton. Oh, and look, we have no node at the bottom. It's weird. I thought when you used the Unreal joint thing, it was gonna do that for me, but I don't know. Whatever. The problem is it's your root joint, right? So if I was to add that extra joint to be the world locator, it would add another joint to the hierarchy, which really fundamentally changes your whole skeleton, which you can do, but I don't know. I kind of was thinking it was just going to do it for me. All right, so there's my skeleton. I assume it works. I can probably just do a little test here. Yeah. So we have skinning working. Now we got to do an animation. What am I at? I got 15 minutes to do an animation. All right. Should be easy. So we finally actually got into Unreal. This is like an hour and a half not talking about Unreal at all. Well, I guess we were in a way, but now finally we're actually going to be doing something in Unreal. Well, right up until I start animating. So I was thinking, you know, if we did a backdrop that was more like this, I don't want to look too far into the distance. And had a fox hop up and look in the window or something. Or you would do it the other way around maybe. So it would be like a shot close to the window, and then you see the fox look in the window and then run away. That was my thought. You could use this window, might make more sense. We do have that set that we were trying to work with before, which I might do still. Well, my plan is more to like have multiple shots rather than worry about one in particular. Wow, that is a flaming fire. You could also do it this one too, I suppose. But anyway, the problem is that you're looking off into like there's nothing out there. I guess a giant snow blizzard. So it would be nice if I could do it in a way where you still feel like there's a continuity in the background. you could be looking inside the cottage, and then the fox looks out at you. So I was like, it's nice and warm in here. I don't know what you're doing out there. That would be funny and totally. Well, I mean, in theory, if I make an animation looking in the window, I could do it one way or another. It doesn't really matter. So I guess in theory, if I'm sticking to this plan here with the windowsill, I would want to export this mesh out and use it as our context of what we're going to animate to. So this is the we did this with the other file as well. It's it's good to have objects that are related in the world to work from, so you're not having to guess the distances of everything. So I'm just going to pick a bunch of meshes here that we would want to export into Maya, and so I know kind of where my boundaries are, and we'll do a file export selected from the file menu. This is a special way to export geo, and we're going to put that into the source. We'll call it cabin window meshes, and we'll do an export for an FBX. This, by the way, would be a great example of how you could use the USD exporting method instead, I would think, so that you could have a dynamic environment of interior and exterior, or at least some sort of exterior interior working from a singular file. I don't know how to use USD file formats yet, so this is more of a theory than an actual practice, but it is kind of a, I don't know, maybe there's something I can do down the road that works that way. Export morph targets, no, we don't want that. So that'll hopefully work. We'll export some meshes, and we'll go back to our Maya file. So a good practice when you're animating is to, rather than working with your rig file, I definitely want to save this for a minute here. Rather than working with your rig file, I immediately regret saving that because I forgot to submit it before I had done all this stuff, but whatever. Let me just submit it now. Submit after creating Unreal Rig. Check it out, submit it. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, so for a good practice when you're working with animation is to not to work in your rig file, obviously, and not to import your rig file, but to reference it instead. So let's say we'll do a new scene, and I don't want to import it. I'm going to create a reference of that rig file that I just had, and I'll reference it into my new animation file. And that way when I do any rig changes and iterations, it will automatically update into my animation file here. So I'll save this as my animation scene. I should call it something more specific. Window look. Or call that, I guess. Now I gotta click continue 3 times because there's like one for the mesh file, one for the skeletal rig file, and now one for the animation file, all referenced into my scene here. So we're going to import the mesh into my animation file, or I could reference my mesh into the animation file as well. Why not? We'll do it. Great reference. Box window as my animation file. I'm looking for FBX files here. So, There it is. Cabin window meshes. Reference. Oh, put error. Uh-oh. Fluid Pixel says, have you tried Maya Live Link? I have not tried it with the new exports. Oh, sorry. Updates with Unreal. They do seem to talk a lot about it lately, about it being really useful for being able to preview what you're doing. It is something we could play with. Possibly. Not a bad idea, actually. Maybe we should do that. I've never really had much of a positive experience with live links between softwares because the setup time is a pain in the butt and the payoff is like, all right, that's the animation in the scene. Under certain circumstances, I can really see it being useful, though. If you have particular materials and lighting and things like that that you really need to see, then I can see that being really useful. But not necessarily all the time. Sean says, hey Simon, sorry to segue into this. I'm currently finishing up my demo reel. Some scenes are rendered in Arnold, some are not. Does it matter if my animations are rendered? Look pretty / look pretty. If it's just an animation demo reel, it's not a priority to have it all polished up with rendering. But whatever it is you're displaying, it should look professional, and it should very much be able to see the animation in a good frame rate, not pixelated, some sort of consistency, not with all the controllers on it, like cleaned up and a camera angle that really previews the animation well. That, if you've got solid animation, that will work. Your animation will just explain itself. Like, you don't have to, rendering isn't going to stop you from getting hired, but it does make you look more technically proficient, which might, if you're on a parallel with another animator, they might pick the one that seems like they can pick up various tools and work with it over the one that is just straight up animation. So it depends on the situation, but as an animator looking at animations, I will pick the person who has visibly better animation over the person who rendered, if their animation isn't as good, if that makes any sense. So animation is a very specific skill set, and if you have it and you can prove that you have it, you are actually quite valuable, and there is a lot of work out there for you. So really that is the priority. And especially if you're wasting valuable time rendering. Like, don't sacrifice deadlines to render out something if you're trying to get a demo reel to somebody as soon as possible. I would use Playblast. Viewport 2.0 Playblast in Maya is pretty good, especially if you can really start to, work with the extra features. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at right now. They have like anti-aliasing, ambient. What's it called? The feature that creates shadows around things. Ambient occlusion. Oh god, I forget what it's called. And then they have motion blur as well. So there's various tools. See, if I just had my fancy little tooltips showing up, which always turns itself off, I wouldn't have had to look like such an idiot there. Ambient occlusion, I was right. Okay. Screen space, ambient occlusion. So that gives you like the fake shadows around things. So you can get some nice features on there, especially with the anti-aliasing, and make it look like a render. I mean, realistically, when you're rendering, there is an option that says hardware 2.0, and that's just your viewport. So like you could render in this option and get the same visuals as your viewport. There you go. No problem. Now, what was I doing? Oh, I was trying to import that mesh and it didn't work. import. Oh no, not even the right place. There. And maybe it did import. It was just, maybe I was there. Model 1. Now I have this one that's not Model 1. Okay. Problem is, it's probably somewhere in the world that I can't see right now. Whoa. Oh, here it is, over here. It's not too far away. So that's the geo. Only got like 5 minutes left, so I don't think doing live link is necessarily going to work for me right now. But it could be something we could do next week. I should really write it down when I come up with these ideas, because I didn't realize all that skin mesh is going to come with me. I wonder if there's a way that you can like figure it out. You're not using it. Delete cage. Oh, maybe I don't want it. I wouldn't be able to do it anyways because it's on a reference, so it'll still be there. If I want to delete the cage, I really gotta go back to my rig file and then properly delete it. Flippy Pixel says 11-second club isn't overly rendered, but some are cool. But some cool animation. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes people do like a very fancy rendering job, but honestly, if you're on a tight deadline, then it's like priority number 1 is polish your animation, and then if you have extra time, fancify the render. Unless it's not telling the story very well. Because I totally agree, because when I was rendering, I just thought it's icing. Yeah, you're right. If the animation's dope, and then that's all that matters. Yeah, that's if you're getting reviewed by someone who really does know their stuff about animation, then that is how they're going to perceive it. If you're getting reviewed by like whoever, HR, then maybe unfortunately rendering is going to be your advantage. Sometimes they do, like HR will do like a filtering process before you get to the actual lead. Not always, but you're in a bigger studio, there's I don't even know if HR is the right word, but it's like there's some sort of filtering before you get to the filtering. Or even like recruiters will do that. They'll just look at what they've got and pick the ones that they think will are like most likely to get jobs. So they're going to be doing filtering, and they may not have the skill set of animators to be able to you know, give you justice for talent. But I think anybody can really see quality animation, so shouldn't be that crazy. And I think if you don't properly give justice to your animation, to your play blast, then I think that looks bad as well, because it's like you couldn't be bothered to like turn off the animation rigs for your play blast. That doesn't seem very good. What am I doing here? Perfect. It's a tough rig to get used to animating now. Now I've got it working, but it's like, oh geez, now I gotta figure out how to make this rig do stuff. Like look upwards, which is apparently not going very well here. There must be another controller that's supposed to do this. 5-minute countdown, yeah. 2 minutes now. 2 minutes. I just wanted to pose. Now I'm like, ah, geez, how does this rig work here? We got multiple little controls here. One's for the legs. Seems like they have the upper body and the lower body separated, which can be useful to create a nice bounce where you've got upper body. Like whenever you see a run, there's like the two parts move independently from each other. So it's kind of good that they've got this set up this way, but just have to get used to what I'm supposed to do to get this to work here. If I can get a pose and then export it, this is so ridiculous looking, and put it in the game, then at least I'll prove that, you know, we've got an export that works. And then next week I'm gonna try and do live link, and we'll try to do some more animation poses to see if we can get this to go a bit better, since I never did actually come up with any smarter ideas for what else we can do. Unless I'm just forgetting somebody suggested something and I don't know what it is. Oh, I'm picking all kinds of stuff I don't want, like joints. Not sure why I'm not prepared the file properly here. I feel like I missed some sort of finalize option when I was rigging. Like there was probably one of these, if I went to the bottom of the list, I'd find better options. I don't know what's going on here. I've got two control sets here. Oh, you got another one in there as well. What? It's possible the skinning is still a bit crazy. Wow, what kind of controls is this? We have no skinning for the jaw, so he's just gonna be there with his mouth open, looking super creepy. Okay, there we go. Oh, I need to key all that, I think. Maybe not. Hey, Danny! What's happening? Any 3D. Oh, what have I missed here? Add portfolio event review by Method Studios. Oh, did that happen already? Or you still have to do it? Review. So I was like, crap, guess it's time. Yeah. I don't know if that Method Studios review has happened yet or not. Oh man, I'm 1 minute over my stream and I haven't even exported it yet. Ah, so slow. Export selection. I'm just making fun of myself. Not really necessarily that upset. We do anim fox window look. And we're going to turn on animation and we're going to bake the animation 24 frames. And we go back over here. Oh, in Flick Pixels, I must admit using multiple rigs in fundamentals was a good move. I remember people complaining, but I appreciate it. Ah, okay. Like in terms of getting used to the fact that there's different ways to do a rig and getting familiar with the workflow of different rigs. If that's what you're saying, then I totally agree. There is plenty of different ways that rigs are put together, but there he is. But if you there's our fox. Oh, his pivot point's way off. There he is, looking in the window. All right, we did it, sort of, to a point where it makes sort of sense right now. Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say there. Multiple rigs. Oh, lots of people do different types of rigs. There's lots of different formulas, but you'll see it, the pattern repeat itself over and over again, and that's actually really interesting and useful. So yeah, play around with multiple rigs for sure. I think that's a great tip of advice. Flickpixel says all rigs are different. Yeah, there you go. Sean says not yet. It hasn't happened yet. The Method Studios portfolio review, but I'm gonna submit soon. Real nervous. It's great. I'm glad to see they got a pressure point to get that out the door, and I think that's really important for a lot of artists. Is they sit there and mull over whether they're ready yet or not. But realistically, just put it together, do it, and then you'll have a benchmark that you can work from. So I think it's great that we're actually able to offer that and get that organized for people. I know Maxine has bothered me already about, well, asked me for more animation portfolio reviews. So if you are doing that for animation, then I think you're going to be a minority. So I think that alone puts you in a good spot, and I would use that as motivation. So hopefully that works out for you. But if you need any help or any issues or anything there, Sean, feel free to throw it my way. I can give you some tips if you want to. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks again for everybody joining in and participating, keeping me entertained. And I guess I'll see you guys again next week for another stream. All right, take care, everybody. Cheers.